I love children, but Gene, a magician. You got to pay attention when there's a magician. You got to. That's a must.
Remember when we first met John McClane? Argyle picked him up from the plane and took him down the Nakatomi Tower at the Christmas party. And the terrorists were overzealous, but it was sweet when they killed Ellis. And with a little help from Alan, John McClane kicked ass.
Welcome back to Shat the Movies, the podcast where we answer the question, were the movies we loved when we were growing up really that good? Have you ever caught yourself thinking, why don't they make movies like they used to? Can you still remember spending your Friday night searching for the perfect movie rental Blockbuster Video? Do you know what Blockbuster Video is? If you answered yes, and this is the podcast for you, I'm one of your hosts, Gene Lyons, and alongside me is my co-host, Big D, Dick Ebert.
Good evening.
And each week we take a look back in time to decide if our favorite films still hold up. The movies we cover are chosen by you, the listeners, who generously commission the films you love. If you like to see all the movies we have covered, will cover, want to choose one for yourself, please visit shatpod.com and have a look. At the end of each podcast, we'll provide you, the audience, the number of wipes each movie takes to get off your respective butts. Thank you so much for listening. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and share with a friend. It's how we help the podcast grow. Additionally, subscribe to our sister podcast, Shat on TV, where we review TV series such as Westworld, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, True Detective, Lovecraft Country, and Watchmen. Find all unfinished and past episodes at shatpod.com/TV. And finally, if you'd like to hang out with us live, follow and subscribe to our Twitch channel, shatpod.com/Twitch, and our YouTube channel, where we play video games, host watch parties, and edit this podcast live. All that being said, Big D, what movie are you reviewing tonight?
Gene, tonight's commission is for one of our great listeners, Chris D, and it is a film that's become near and dear to my heart lately. As a wine connoisseur of a sorts, I've sat here for this review, Gene, and I've broken open a beautiful 2024 Barefoot Pinot Grigio.
Christ.
Twist top. The label says crisp and refreshing, and I can tell you it is. And there's on the top, it tells me this is the most awarded U.S. competition wine brand. So it's perfect. A nice bottle of wine to pair with a wonderful movie. It's going to be a delightful evening, Gene. So listeners, please cuddle up with those you love. Get a nice bottle of wine. Let it breathe. Sniff it in. Because tonight's movie for Chris D is the 2004 American comedy drama, Sideways. And he was kind enough to call in and leave a voicemail for us to hear exactly why this film meant so much to him. And it is a perfect pairing for him as well as a listener.
Hey, Shat crew. Thanks so much for taking my commission on Sideways. I've been in the wine industry my whole life, and, it's hard to watch anything that you're so close to when it comes on screen. I know lots of chefs and waiters and bartenders, and they cringe whenever a restaurant scene comes on the screen. And, I'm sure Big D probably shakes his head around a lot of military stuff when that's on. So I wasn't really excited to go see this movie when it came out. I knew what it was about, and I just thought it'd be incredibly inaccurate, and I'd want to walk out. But I can admit when I'm wrong, and other than a few minor nitpicks, I thought it was really enjoyable. The movie was a much bigger success than anybody predicted. It brought a lot of light to a little-known region outside Santa Barbara, and the place absolutely exploded. Beyond that, it was a great platform for Pinot Noir and absolutely killed Merlot. But beyond the business side of it, boy, these two guys are fucking despicable. You've got one guy all bound up in depression and anxiety, and his friend who's just a misogynistic pig. So setting those two loose on the world is probably irresponsible, especially when you add alcohol to the mix. But, I have to feel a little bit sorry for Miles. He's all heartbroken and distraught. Nonetheless, the two deal with their problems like absolute children. So, I think it still holds up as a movie. I think it's pretty enjoyable. It would probably be 2.25 wipes, but, given how outstanding I think the acting is across the board, I'm going to bump that up to a solid 2 wipes, and I look forward to hearing what you guys think about it. Best of luck, enjoy, and hope to hear from you soon.
I think, Gene, this is one of those cases. He is too close to it. He's underestimating this vintage. This is a good year, my friend. This is a good grape.
You talking about the film itself? Is it the
Yes,
metaphor?
I'm talking
Okay, I
about
just
the
wanna
film
make sure.
itself.
I don't
Yes,
know
of
if that's what you're
course. I'm
referring
saying
to.
a lot of times the commissioners will either, lately we've said that they come in too high. It's almost as if they're setting themselves up for a rough review.
Yeah.
Yes, these guys are flawed. Yes, but it's the blend, Gene, if I could use some analogy from wine. It comes together very well. And I think if you sat down again, Chris, and watched it, it's a good film.
When a person submits a film for review, it would be likely the same as if I recommended a film to you, or when you recommend TV series to me. You know that you're presenting a thing that you like to a person who spent thousands of hours critiquing film and TV. So you're going to set it up as any good argument would, right? Like you were preparing for a debate. You anticipate the resistance and the critique, and you answer those points of the critique. If you acknowledge the flaw, then the flaw is less of a barrier.
Yeah, and for me, when this came in and it showed up on our doorstep, I got excited because, as I've mentioned, anyone who's listened to the podcast for a while, I've lately become more of a wine guy, but I'm usually the cheap box Pinot Grigio. So this whole snob culture that surrounds wine made me laugh even back in the day. I remember Sideways taking shots at the cool wine crowd because even in college, you had the few kids who thought they were going to elevate themselves and be sophisticated. And I used to love watching them just make fools of themselves, I feel. So I wanted to go back now as somebody who doesn't enjoy a great, great bottle of wine and see if it's changed with my palate, Gene. Because we're not sponsored by Barefoot. But I got to tell you, Gene, as I opened up this bottle, the nose is playful. It's almost flirty.
Yeah.
It's as if this glass of Pinot Grigio is aware of how good it smells. You can taste the restraint. Lesser brands, they would have tried much harder, but this one, it just lets the grape speak.
I don't want to burst your bubble, Big D, but all those mass-produced wines, the Barefoots, the Apothekreds, they aim to be as inoffensive and universally palatable as possible. So it's good that you enjoy them. It's just the same way that everyone enjoys a Miller Lite. There's nothing wrong with it, but I think the things that you're detecting there.
I enjoy a good long tail. It's not
Long
a bad
tail.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love in long tail how the acidity, it announces itself. Okay. It never apologizes.
Right.
Then it returns even more confident. Mm-hmm. It's a great brand. But this bottle tonight, this Pinot, it's almost meditative. It's reminding me of a summer in Montauk where I spent alone thinking about my potential.
Well, Big D, my family began traveling to Napa Valley for wine tasting when I was a teenager. My cousin Pej, whom you've met at the wedding, he would set the agenda, much like Miles does in this movie. He would pick the restaurants and he would take me, a teenager, and teach me about the different varietals and wineries. And this is before Napa really blew up. So you get away with having a teenager at the winery and nobody really cared and they'd give you a sample. We would sometimes pull over at a little shack and eat a roadside sausage and cheese. Sometimes we would stop at a great restaurant and have a $200 fancy dinner. We stayed at motels like Miles and Jack. We spent a lot of time on those trips just conversing about life, smoking cigarettes out the window of the rental car, so you don't get caught. And Sideways took me back to those years in a lot of ways, minus the butt stuff. So, Chris, thank you for the trip down memory lane.
I do need to ask you one thing. Did you appreciate those trips in the moment, or do you only now appreciate them looking back?
My God, I did so much. This was so not having a dad, right? And I'm not saying this in jest. This is sincere. Not having a dad, the things that you might typically learn about from your dad, the quality of a good leather coat, why you buy a good belt, why you would want a quality timepiece, things like that. Car maintenance, like how to drive on road trips, all those things were passed down through these trips. Again, fine dining, like how to eat seafood. What is a good steak? How do you like your steak? These are all concepts that were revealed to me on these trips. And then aside from that, I don't know, for people who haven't been to Napa Valley, Sonoma Valley, Anderson Valley, driving through those areas of California, and we would always go in the fall with the fog and the chill in the air. I mean, it was just beautiful times. So yeah, I mean, I relish those even in the moment.
Awesome.
Well, Sideways is a 2004 comedy directed by Alexander Payne, who co-wrote it with Jim Taylor. A film adaptation of Rex Pickett's 2004 novel, Sideways follows two men in their 40s, depressed teacher Miles Raymond, played by Paul Giamatti, and past his prime actor Jack Cole, played by Thomas Haden Church, who take a week-long road trip to Santa Barbara County wine country to celebrate Jack's upcoming wedding. Sideways premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival on September 13th, 2004, and received widespread acclaim from critics who called it one of the greatest films of the 2000s. At the 77th Academy Awards, the film was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting Actor for Haden Church, Best Supporting Actress for Virginia Madsen, and won Best Adapted Screenplay. Let's hit the trailer.
Let me show you how this is done. Hold the glass up and examine the wine against the light. You're looking for color and clarity. Now, stick your nose in it. Maybe some strawberry. Oh, there's just a flutter of like a nutty Edam cheese.
When do we drink it?
Now. Are you chewing gum?
No.
Spit it out.
Get married on Saturday. Here's my last week of freedom.
We're gonna play some golf, eat some great food, and we're gonna send you off in style. It's gonna be great. Miles, these girls want to party with us.
If they want to drink Merlot, we're drinking Merlot.
No, if anybody orders Merlot, I'm leaving. I am not drinking any Merlot!
Why don't we go back to my place?
Tonight we are celebrating Miles' book deal, published author.
Oh, what's the title?
The day after yesterday.
Oh, you mean today?
Yeah.
School teacher Miles picks up his friend Jack to begin a week together in advance of Jack's wedding. Miles wants to spend the week relaxing, playing golf, and enjoying food and wine, but Jack is looking to get them both laid. Miles starts the trip at his mother's house, ostensibly to wish her a happy birthday, and steals her money before they leave.
It's a good sign, Gene. Even just reading that block, I'm already smiling. I can picture these guys getting together. We're introduced to them, and I love how fast this movie. It lets us meet Miles. We see him. He is this sad, lonely guy in San Diego. He's got the divorced dad condo. He's barely holding it together. He's going out. He's running out there because he's blocking the roofers, and he's just kind of a schlep, and he's parked in the wrong place. And he comes, and everybody's just looking at him like, you know who this guy is. You know where he is. Living in this apartment, a sad existence. He's in apology mode. He's driving that beat up Saab convertible. He's driving around. And within 30 seconds, we immediately know who he is, where he's been, and what he's capable of.
Everything is so intentional. What he's driving, where he lives, what he orders at the coffee shop. Every point of this, they give you maximum information just through the decisions he makes. Like, we all know if a dude is driving a beat up Saab, there's a whole fucking story there, right? It's not a Corolla. It's not a Tacoma. It's a Saab, right? And it goes even further than that. Miles has built this box of preferences and he suffers inside of it. And I think we can appreciate this now as in our 40s, right? And 50s. Yeah. Like, this is not something I might have understood in my 20s, but you meet But you have these friends who year after year, they put up a wall here and they put up a wall there, the boundaries within which they live in. And they think that the world is catering to their needs. They think that they're getting things exactly the way that they want them. But what they don't see is that they've boxed themselves in. And these people, they inconvenience everybody because they need things a certain way. And I'd be willing to deal with that. Like, I'd be willing to give somebody things the way they want if they were happy in return. But they don't even have the decency to repay that accommodation with happiness. We see that when Miles, he's late. He knows he's late, but he still takes his time in the bathroom. He still goes to the shop. He's got to get his coffee. He's got to get his snacky snacks just the right way. He's got to get his crossword. Even though he knows he's late, he's accommodating all of his needs, and still he's not happy.
But he's a different kind of failure. He starts off apologizing because he's late. And we're thinking, oh man, he is running late. Maybe the clock didn't go, his alarm didn't go off. But he flips from, I'm sorry, I'm going to be there too. Exactly. He's on his time. He's sitting, and you hear like the music change. He's sitting on the toilet. He's doing the crossword. He's not caring at all what he's doing. This is his routine. He's flossing. He's showering. The only thing I was expecting him to do was to see him jerking off. That would be the final thing before he gets out of the house and he goes finally to go meet Jack. And the moment that he gets there, Jack looks at him and he says, are you hungover already? So now we know he's a drinker. He's kind of that midlife crisis dude. And I'm right away thinking, like, why? There seems to be. As I'm just a casual wine drinker. Why is it okay if somebody says, are you hungover? Yeah, I had a couple glasses of wine at dinner. Oh, yeah, I went out last night. We did a wine tour. We did a tasting. That's almost like it's a magic bullet that wipes away being drunk in the morning on a weekday, because I don't get it. If I said to you, hey, I was sitting home. Hey, do you know I killed a 12-pack last night?
Hell yeah.
I was doing a couple shots of Goldschlager by myself in my condo. If you swap in wine, all of a sudden there's like this soulful, seductive, cultured thought. Imagine if moms were like, girl, my husband and I got into a fight last night. I had to pound like 4 shots of Jameson. Oh, I got to take the girls to soccer. That seems okay for girls to talk about, like their wine pours and their book clubs. There is a double standard I think this movie shines a light on.
I mean, winos? It's the fucking term is wino.
That's one thing. A wino is a dude sitting like on the side of a building with a bottle of wine in a paper bag. What other substance could a mom be talking about at a PTA meeting where everybody wouldn't look at her like she was an addict?
That's true. And the severe alcoholics that I've worked with in both retail and the professional world, they go bang for the buck. Like, they stick to vodka and wine, things that have high alcohol content and don't need to be aged. It makes sense now what you're saying, because they know that they could drink the vodka or the wine and it's going to be less judgy than like if Carol came in and just polished off a whole rack of PBR, right? Like, that would be a problem.
100%. Nobody's leaving their kids with a woman who's got like 12-pack of empty PBRs on the counter.
Is that why you were running around New Orleans just chugging Pinot Grigio? You were like, no one will judge me if I'm just doing this. Look at Gene over there.
I'm not
drinking
gonna lie.
whiskey.
It is bang for the buck. Yeah. It is alcohol percentage per ounce. I'm not gonna lie. Plus, I told you, Pinot is my wine of choice. Not too sweet, not too dry, and it does the job. I'm a happy drunk on Pinot.
I've told this story before on the podcast, but it bears repeating. During my bachelor party, I would go into like the Spotted Cat. I'd pay like $7 for a Miller Lite. Big D is just carrying around a 4-pack at all times of Pinot Grigio, and he's just walking into every bar. He saved so much money on that trip. It's
and
ridiculous.
People looked at me like I was fancy. Nobody looked. If I had been sneaking in little like fireball shots, nobody would be like, "Oh, how cute!" You wouldn't be telling this story right now. But because it was my tiny bottles of Pinot, you use them like breadcrumbs for to find your way out of the forest.
So as we're learning more about Miles in this movie, it starts to present a lot of these ethical dilemmas, and you get to see how Miles and Jack kind of deal with each of them. And a big one is Miles stealing from his mom. So obviously stealing $1,000 from your mother, your elderly mother, on her birthday is not cool. But it does kick off smaller ethical questions that were a little bit of gray area, right? And they span the entire film. Like, if your friend is committing adultery or cheating on their fiance, are you obligated to report that? Like, where does your loyalty lie? Personally, no, I don't think so. It's none of my business. You do what you do, right? Do you have to pretend to have a good time, even if your friend's celebration is going off the rails? Like, do you just grin and bear it because it's their party, not yours, right? Do you change your plans for your mom's birthday? And I think that last one was the toughest one for me to answer, because Miles and Jack, they're on the road trip for Jack's engagement, his upcoming wedding. They stop by Miles' mom's house and she's like, I thought you'd like to join me for brunch on my birthday tomorrow. I still wrestle with that one because I like to keep a plan and I like to keep a schedule and I like to honor the person who I planned for. But at the same time, it's your mother and she's so sad and old. Would you?
Of course you stop. It's not even a question. If you invited me, Gene, I love to meet people's families. I love to meet old parents because you can see the joy in their eye. It lights up. Like, I'm worthy of hanging out and being cool with my children and their friends, meeting your family. I remember we had Roger's father one day. We were about to record. He was in Arizona with Roger, and he jumped on with us for about 15 minutes. And the time sitting there shooting the shit with him talking about, I said, what would you do if Roger took your prize Pinto and airbrushed a unicorn on the hood? He goes, well, that is kind of my boy. That is my son. I would have to accept that interaction. For me, I think that's quality. Without a doubt, I would love it. I want to see how my friends were created. Explain to me their quirks. I want to see them as a kid. I really do love that. I would stop in a second. But to go back to your other question there about the infidelity, don't ever put me in a position to lie for you. Don't use me as cover. Don't use me as an alibi. I would never do that. And if it's a situation where you have loyalty to both parties, it's a tough one. It really is. But I would never lie to cover a friend. I would.
What if it wasn't lying? It just wasn't saying anything.
But that's kind of saying something.
Like, if asked directly, well, let's say in this case, right? So you got Miles and Jack. Yeah. Jack is hitting on Stephanie. He's banging her. He's telling her all these things like he loves her and all that shit, right? And Miles doesn't say anything. And then Maya ends up mad at Miles. Should she be mad at Miles? Like, is it his obligation to tell Stephanie, hey, this guy's engaged?
No, it's not his obligation. And in the end, I think she gets to that point.
Yeah.
But no, it's not. I'm not your parent. I'm not the moral compass for the group or for anyone. You do what you want to do. And in the end, Maya's mad, obviously, because of her past trauma and her past relationships. But no, I don't think it's your responsibility. But one of the highlights of going to your wedding, Gene, was to see your family. I get it. I get the dancing. And I still have the $2 bill your mother threw around.
Oh.
It's in my wallet for the day I need it. That's that time where you can see people. When you meet someone with their parents, they become that little child. I could see little big nipple Gene sitting playing Top Gun with Pej behind you as your co-pilot waiting for his turn.
And totally agree with that. Every year, Sarah and I make a point to go to Michigan. It's on the calendar every single year. And her family wisely keeps it on the same date every single year. But we go out there for their family reunion. And another person might think that, oh, it's the same thing every year. You drive up there to Michigan. You're going to be hanging out, in a camper. You go on the boat. You just go sit in the water and drink beers and talk, right, for 3 days straight. And you have a seafood boil and a rib night, I can't get enough of it. If I did that 100 more times, I would never get tired of it because, yeah, it's exactly that. One of the coolest things that I came back from Michigan with was Sarah's dad had their family stash of home movies, photo albums. They're just sitting in the basement. Like, nobody wanted them. We're like 100% we want those. So I took them, I digitized all of them, put them up on YouTube and made links for the whole family. And then we took all the photos, put them in fresh albums, scanned them. That shit's priceless, man. And I learned a lot. For instance, Sarah always used to tell me that she was kind of a neglected child. And there's a video of her sister's birthday party. They had hired a magician. They hired a fucking magician to do a magic show for all the kids. And all the kids are gathered on the floor around the magician and they're just watching him do his thing. And the camera pans over and there's a love seat and there's baby Sarah. She can barely sit up straight. Like, she barely has the core strength in the head safe to sit upright by herself. There's not an adult near her. There's not another child near her. Nobody cares that she's there. She's just in the background sitting by herself. And it made everything make so much sense.
I love children, but Gene, a magician. You got to pay attention when there's a magician. You got to. That's a must.
Well, in the Santa Ynez Valley, Miles teaches Jack how to taste wine. They dine at the Hitching Post 2, where Jack exaggerates and tells their server Maya that Miles's manuscript has been accepted for publication. The next night, Jack arranges a double date for himself, Miles, Maya, and Maya's friend Stephanie. During the date, Miles gets drunk and calls his ex-wife Victoria after learning she is remarried and will be bringing her new husband to Jack's wedding.
So, Gene, we've done 400 plus movies now, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 70s. One of the constant tropes we always get are pairings, funny pairings. Hey, who could we put together? Let's get Sylvester Stallone and we'll get Kurt Russell. Hey, let's get Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. You try to find these oddball actors that have some kind of a chemistry. And it's super hard to do. A lot of times you can feel that it's manufactured. It's not genuine. This movie kind of flips that. When they say, hey, you were my freshman roommate in Arizona, yep, I get it. It's an exact perfect match. Jack is optimistic. He's friendly. He's trying to pull Miles towards the light. Miles is digging his heels in deeper, like you said. He's pulling up these walls around him into his little comfortable life. And the balance, and this feels like a long-term friendship that has developed over time. And the movie understands that they don't have to be comically opposed, but they can be different enough that you question, how are they friends? But you understand how they're friends at the same time.
I'm still trying to decode why there are only two of them. Like, Jack's an actor. I'm guessing it's his bachelor party. Like, surely he's got friends. And so I'm like, did the bachelor party already happen? And then this was an additional trip? Or are they the only friends that one another have?
Well, I have a theory on this. I think that with the Armenian group, it seems as if Jack is marrying into money. Mm-hmm. Even though he is an actor, it doesn't sound like he's been doing much other than get a wonderful APR of 8.9. He seems like he's doing voice acting. He's a has-been. So he's now marrying into what seems like an established family.
Right.
You got to be careful who you go on a bachelor party with. If he goes on a bachelor party around home where Christine's family or the Armenian dad sends out, like, you don't know who you're going to come across. If you want a trip where you're going to go out and get laid and get drunk, you got to go far away from them. And with a knucklehead like Miles, nobody would suspect you're going to do shit with Miles. How are you going to get laid carrying around this human turd of sadness and midlife crisis? He's the safest guy to go on this trip with.
That makes so much sense. Yeah, there's red flags if you go like, hey, I'm going with Bill and Joe and we're going to Vegas or New Orleans, right? You're like, oh shit, like the family is going to suspect something's up. But if you're like, I'm going to wine country with Miles,
who's a sad shack wet blanket. He pulls into the house. The mom's like, don't worry, Christine, they're not getting laid. Nobody's hooking up with Miles.
But you're absolutely right that these oddball pairings, like, they happen all the time. I mean, I think it happens for you, definitely for me. On paper, the King Bee and I make zero sense as friends, and it's a strained relationship. Our communication styles are different. Our sense of responsibility is different. Like, our worldview is different. Yet, for some reason, that friendship persists. And you know that feeling when you're with that person or you're talking with that person. It's like time moves differently, and it's like a drug. I wish I could understand. People call it like codependency. They can call it nostalgia. I don't know what it is, but there's definitely like certain bonds. And I would say more often than not that best friends or very close friends are very, very different.
And there's a lot of parallels as I was watching this of you and King Bee.
Oh my God.
Whereas, again, I don't want to stereotype because you're not all Jack. Jack has a lot of bad traits and King Bee is not all Miles. But there's a difference. I think that Jack knows he's better than Miles.
Yes.
And he enjoys being around Miles. It's like the girls that always have the one ugly girl in the group because that girl makes them feel better about themselves. So I think that's how their friendship has worked. And, Jack, he's not this, even though he's more polished and he's an actor, he's not this wine guy. So seeing him get pulled through Miles's expertise, when Miles goes on this trip, he's in his zone. He knows it. He knows the people. He knows the wine. So it's interesting to see for a first time to see Jack put on his heels. He's not the cool guy anymore. But listening to Miles ramble on about fucking cold air on the grapes and hints of citrus and eucalyptus and cheese and sniffing and humming. And he just, you could see him fill up with this bravado as he's going on, like he's unlocked this secret code that nobody knows. Like, Gene, nobody knows, this wine doesn't want to be overworked. It just needs to coexist. Saying shit like that. If a normal person said that, you'd want to get slapped, but somehow when you say it in wine country, it's sophisticated, but you're trying too hard. And I'm feeling the cringe come out of the screen as the wine culture. And maybe that was the purpose of the film. Yes, it's going to elevate wine. And it led to a boom in the industry, but it also pokes fun at that self-grandizing illusion that the industry and the drinkers have created.
I saw this totally differently. I thought that when Miles has two things that make sense to him, which is words and wine, and he just approaches them differently. And I thought that, oh my God, like seeing him actually in his zone was so cool. I didn't find it pretentious at all. And I appreciate people who get a good wine or get good food because we live in a hyper palatable age. I was thinking about that this morning. A sausage McMuffin, right? I got 2 sausage McMuffins this morning. The first one was $2. And right now McDonald's is running special where you buy one, you get the other one for $1, right? So 2 sandwiches for $3. Sat down with Sarah, had our sausage McMuffins, and she commented on how I could see why a person would eat one of these a day every day and keep going back to McDonald's and, get super fat and whatever and unhealthy. And I'm like, yeah, because it's hyper palatable. It's delicious to everyone. Anyone who is honest with themselves about a sausage McMuffin or an Apothic Red will be like, it's fucking tasty, right? Why? Because it is engineered to light up your taste buds, but it is utter garbage underneath. And I appreciate that somebody like Miles will sit down with a wine and experience it, right? Not saying, yeah, it's yummy, because it's easy to make something yummy. It's what else is it telling you, right? And when you really sit down with a wine or a scotch is really hard to get into, but once you get into it, it's so rewarding, right? One of two things happen. You either find something amazing in there that you didn't notice. And Big D, I this is not me being pretentious. I can tell you right now, if you give me a scotch, I can tell you what part of Scotland it's from.
Oh, I believe that. I can
tell you that.
It's like the sommeliers.
Yeah. Well, I'm not that good.
No, but I'm saying,
yeah,
those people, like you're saying, someone who knows it and enjoys it, that's not what I'm saying.
But and on the other hand, too, you can also find flaws that you didn't know were there. When I was in France with Sarah, our honeymoon, Paris, we were going all around, and you've been to Paris, you've experienced this, right? You're just walking down the street. It's a beautiful street. I want to sit down for a minute. You sit down, get a €3 glass of wine. They just bring it out to you. Sometimes they bring you a little snacky snack with it. Just like, here you go, sit down, enjoy. You drink it. There's no tip. You just hand up, you leave the money there, you're out of there, right? It's the most convenient thing in the world. It's so enjoyable. And I'm having wine all over the place. And I'm like, France has that reputation for wine, and I had some pretty good wine there, but I didn't really think about what I was drinking. I literally just had the house wine at any place I went. I get on the flight coming back, long flight, and I'm scanning through all the in-flight entertainment, Delta, and they had the James Suckling series, right? So you could learn about wine tasting. I was like, fuck, that's awesome. And I'm on a flight that has all the wine I can drink. So I said, I'm going to do all the things Suckling is showing me how to do while I'm on this flight. And, showing me how to look at the consistency of the wine, swirl it around, see how viscous it is, sniff the wine, drink the wine, feel the texture of it, feel the flavor of it, whatever. And I'm like, man, this wine is terrible. No offense, Delta Airlines, but the wine was really, really bad. And I did not notice that on the flight over. So clearly, if you are sitting down, you're experiencing the wine, you will notice flaws in it that if you're just sucking it down, you would not notice otherwise.
So listen, your comment about the sausage McMuffin, right? Food is pretty universal. If anyone spoke about food the way that Miles speaks about wine or the pretentious nature, if Gordon Ramsay comes on and talks about these hints of flavors and how they've made the puree and how they've done all this, I'm going to listen to it because he's an expert.
Sure.
But hearing a general fan of something, a wine connoisseur who isn't professional, you don't have to say things like the acid is nicely integrated and I'm sure that the finish will hold up. This Pinot has a brilliant cherry nose and a whisper of eucalyptus. Who the fuck says that?
Okay, counterpoint. You know the difference between like a single malt, right?
So then just say it. Say, dude, I can taste like a hint of eucalyptus.
Oh, okay. It's the
When
way
you're
he's
telling
presenting it.
The acid is nicely integrated. Who the fuck says that? This is a language that nobody speaks.
Yeah.
You know, do you describe what I say? Like, okay, what I say, like, oh, Gene, this steak is so it's incredibly sensitive. I can sense that the farmer loved this animal and he cherished it, and that made the meat more sensitive.
You can't tell me that wouldn't make dinner more fun.
Yeah,
if we sat down and had a steak and you were doing that, I'd be like, this is great. This is great.
Yeah, the first time.
Every time.
I would want to fucking...
I can tell that this chicken suffered.
Gene, you know what's great about a piece of steak is you can tell that the one who raised the steak, you have to love steak. You have to nourish it. You have to cherish it. I would expect you to slap me.
You remember when we had that jambalaya supreme at Coop's in New Orleans?
I do, yes.
Okay, so that jambalaya supreme has 5 types of protein in it, right? It's got your tasso ham, it's got crawfish, it's got shrimp, you got chicken, and you got rabbit. And I got to tell you that I was stupid enough to look up what rabbit that goes into food looks like, because I thought they wouldn't look like rabbit that hangs out at your house. They kind of look like rabbit that hangs out at your house. I don't think I can eat rabbit anymore.
No.
I wanted them to look different, you know?
Yeah, I know. It's the same reason we don't eat dogs or cats, because when they look at you like they know what's going on, they don't want to, you know, the other animals you wouldn't want in your living room. You don't want cattle in your living room. But the little bunny, you could see it. I mean, I've ripped the skin. I've degloved a rabbit, and I've killed it with my bare hands. Same with a chicken when I needed to. So,
would you still eat a jambalaya supreme now after having marshmallow?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that shit. I don't know. I'd probably try to come up with some way now to describe it. Gene, that rabbit was incredibly introspective. It's the kind of meal that makes me retreat into myself and open up back emotionally.
Getting back to the movie. When I married Sarah, you, King B, and J Mill were my groomsmen, and my cousin Pej was my best man. And as you noticed from hanging out with him, Pej does not party, right? He's not going to stay up late. He's not going to the club after the wedding. He's not putting up with King B at all. Terrific human being, but not bachelor party material. And so he didn't throw me a bachelor party. I planned the whole thing myself. I planned our week in New Orleans on my own. And instead of taking Pej, we invited Seth, because Seth is amazing fun and Pej is no fun. I can't understand why Jack, knowing that he wants one last week of freedom and to get his dick wet with some strange, agrees to a week in wine country, golfing and eating in small town restaurants while sharing a motel room with Miles. It's a trip for old couples. I get what you're saying, that Miles like doesn't seem risky, or going to wine country doesn't seem like it's going to be a rollicking good time, but there's got to be a middle ground.
But then also you have to take into account, maybe Jack has rubbed people the wrong way. Maybe he doesn't have a friend group. That's the other option. You see when these trips come up who actually will make the time to go for you. And maybe Jack puts up this front about being successful and loved, but in the end, maybe he only has Miles. You know, that could be another one of the reasons. And there's a lot of underlying damage in both of these characters. As they go out, and Jack is going to try to get laid, and Miles is going to be the wingman. And some of the quotes in here, the way Jack tells him basically, hey, like, you know, don't fuck this up. With all your bullshit depression and anxiety and neghead downer shit, he is lighting him up, being like, listen, just be a wingman for me. Don't screw this up. And so they finally go out on this date. They agree to go get Maya and Stephanie, and they're having this double date. And I felt like a teenager watching Friday the 13th. I used to do the hands over my eyes with the tiny slivers when I would get scared. This shit is so uncomfortable. The tension, how uneasy Miles is in himself, how he can't come up with the right thing to say. Maya likes him. He just can't get over himself. And watching this first date, I almost had to pause the movie. I felt, when you watch stuff like this and characters are fumbling around in a genuine situation of nervousness, of insecurity, does it, like, I internalize it. I can't watch it. It's like a train wreck.
It makes me feel less alone. Like, I think I identify so much with that feeling or with that character. You know, Miles is doing that thing where Jack tells him, like, don't drink too much, right? Like, that's the one thing. And you go into those scenarios, you know that you're not supposed to drink too much, but you're also, the nervousness is making you drink more. There's a vibe that Jack gives me that reminds me of men who golf and like car salesmen. They're like people who just make me uncomfortable because he's just going to smooth his way through the thing. He's going to laugh at the jokes. He's going to do the dance. And I've never been that comfortable, and people like that make me very uncomfortable. In social situations, I have like electricity in my veins. I overshare. I talk too much, you know, all the things that Miles is doing. And so to answer your question, when I'm watching those scenarios, I'm not peeking through my hands. Instead, I'm paying very close attention because I'm seeing myself sort of reflected in those scenes.
And also, I never picked up on until now the slimy nature of Jack. Ooh, Steph, you're a dirty girl.
Yeah, I hate that shit.
Oh, you need to be spanked. That probably also makes Miles emotionally retreat more. If Jack was a genuine guy and a genuine friend, maybe Miles wouldn't feel so necessary to kind of try to match that energy. And he's trying to be a bit Jack. So it is such a sad, realistic, grounded dynamic that watching now at 50, I wish like you could go back, like watching this, you wish you could tell Miles, hey, listen, come here, give me a hug, buddy. You're going to be okay. Just be comfortable. Just like you wish you could go back at yourself at younger days and reassure yourself. So this is one of the great things about the podcast is going back and watching something like this film and seeing the perspective you have on it as an adult and younger when you thought you were an adult.
The couples go to Stephanie's house where Miles and Maya connect through their mutual interest in wine. After hearing Jack and Stephanie having sex through the wall, Miles kisses Maya awkwardly and gives her a copy of his manuscript. Jack claims to have fallen in love with Stephanie and tells Miles he wants to postpone the wedding and move to Santa Ynez Valley. After a day together, Miles and Maya return to Maya's apartment and have sex. When Miles reveals to Maya that Jack is getting married, Maya dumps Miles.
Gene, it gets even worse. They're at the bar and whatever. It's uncomfortable. Now we get back to Stephanie's place, and the four of them go into that awkward dance that everybody's experienced. It's like, hey, we met somewhere at a bar or we met for dinner. We both look at each other and we're like, yeah, I want to see you naked. I want to have sex with you. But neither one verbalizes it. This is traditionally when you're younger. I think as you're an adult, you're more like, hey, let's get naked. You just go over and you just actually make it happen. But they start that awkward dance.
I think we should have sex with them.
No, where they're like, hey, so can you tell me about your job? Oh, yeah, I'll tell you. Traditionally, I just restock the bottles, and it's you could see it in their eyes. They both want to make the move or have the other one make the move. And they sit there on the couch pretending to relax, but their brains and their eyes are just screaming, let's get this started. I want to kiss. I want to do something. It is painfully authentic and awkward to watch because we've all been there. I think now we know as an adult, if I was to be in that situation again, I'm married now, so it's not that where you're going to be with somebody the first time. I think it wouldn't be as awkward. You would go up and do it. But watching them painfully do this dance, oh my goodness, you just want to slap them both and be like, hey, just kiss. Just go do it.
Dude, the fucking stupid schemes that I had to, I guess, break the ice in these scenarios. No. Like, hey, why don't we go into that closet, shut off the lights, and see what happens?
Well, it worked.
But my go-to back then was just like lying down and talking. It never failed. I mean, I shouldn't say it never fails. Like, I mean, if somebody's not looking to have sex, it's not going to happen. But I mean, like, if the person was into it, the lying down and talking, it would almost, it's maybe if it didn't end up in sex, it was going to be making out, right? And it's crazy. I used to stick around like these fucking gross ass apartments that I would never go into now, or like in a car, like a fucking 84 Volvo.
Holy shit.
Until 4 a.m. just because maybe we're going to make out, right? Now I'm 45 years old. I sleep in bed with a beautiful woman and I could just go to sleep. Like, what the fuck happened to me?
Dude, I also remember that, like, I still give people much more credit than I should. Like, Stephanie, you meet her out, and I'm thinking, oh, she's got her shit together. Oh, yeah. Then you go see her house. Her house is a fucking disaster. There's shit all over the place. I remember, like you said, meeting this girl when I was doing recruiting for the Army in Ohio. Went back, there was like dog hair all over her apartment. And I was so disgusted, but at the same point, like you said, you just hung out there waiting for it to happen and get it done with.
There were so many times, not people that I slept with, but people who I was thinking about sleeping with, where I would go to their place or just talk with them at like a diner or something like that, like after the club. And I wanted so badly, I never did, but I wanted so badly to just be like, hey, you don't need to be going out right now. You don't need to be meeting people. You don't need to be having sex with anybody. You don't need a dude right now. You need to get your shit together. You know, you need to get your shit together. Then maybe you can focus on those other things. But, and people out there, if you want any advice from old Gene Lyons, the number one thing you could do to make sure that you get satisfied sexually, emotionally, romantically, all those things is get your shit together. That's when you're going to find the quality person. That's when you're going to get your needs met. There are no shortcuts in this game. I'm sorry.
And
unless you're incredibly attractive.
And that comes from Gene Lyons, life coach.
That's right. And Big D, I'm a obscenely sentimental person. I cry in the kitchen when I hear New Orleans jazz. A glass of Orville can make me flash back to Belgium. I feel like I'm right there. A good red puts me next to Sarah, on the banks of the Seine. And I see metaphor everywhere. So Sideways was like a drug to me. There's a scene while Jack and Stephanie are having sex. Miles and Maya, they're on Stephanie's back porch and they're discussing why Miles likes Pinot. And Noir, by the way, not Grigio, because that's trash. And you see that Maya recognizes that Miles is describing himself as he explains the grapes. And then you can see that she follows that metaphor and she's using his prized wine, his 61 Cheval Blanc, to tell him what she sees in him. And it's just so beautifully done. It's the poetry I think we all wish we could speak when we're drinking. It's what we think we're saying. It's written incredibly, and we don't see this enough in film where the writing is just this solid.
And they're two authentic characters. They're both in the literary world. They're both writing. They're both teachers. They're both book fans. So it makes sense that they would speak this way. But I completely missed the whole subtext, Gene. I got that Miles was showing his flaws and his insecurities. But on face value, I loved Maya's philosophy on wine. It made me kind of cut through the bullshit pretension that I hate, the noise of all like the verbose descriptions. And to boil it down for people who haven't seen it, her simple belief is, she said, when she's drinking wine, she uses it almost as if a snapshot. It's a living picture of a specific year. What was the weather like? Who were the people who were helping create it? How many are alive? How many have passed? It was a connective memory to the wine and humanity and the way it made her feel. That was a perspective I had never thought of. So now when I drink my 2024, I think about like last year. Who was bottling this? What was the weather like? And it's something that I think I'm going to try to do that more, to think about each bottle, because with a beer, you don't do that. You think it's just some big assembly line. I'm going to try. Maybe that will make me, Gene, to go back to different years, to pick out maybe like a 2015. I'll go back that far to a vintage when Emma was born. And this could be my new way to think about wine as carrying stories, not just about the drink, but about the history of the creation of it.
I think there's a reason why there are no photos of the Barefoot Cellars like bottling facility, because I think it would crush your dreams when it comes to this. But no, you're absolutely right. And Maya has this other point of wisdom that was just so beautiful. When Miles says that he was waiting for a special occasion to drink that 61 Cheval Blanc, right? The right moment with the right person. And he's using it to kind of flirt with her, right? And her point is, whenever you decide to drink that wine, that is the special occasion. Fuck. Do you know how many bottles of amazing shit I have in my house? I did the math the other day, not including wine, just liquor. There's over $2,100 of liquor in this house. And most of those best bottles, the Blantons, the Macallans, I've never opened them up because I'm waiting for something special to happen, right? Got married, had a child, right? New Year's Eve over and over again.
You're waiting for that big day. You're waiting for
that big day, that special moment, And it's like, why don't you just fucking drink it, man?
No,
like,
but
you could die tomorrow.
But that's something we all do. You put it on, hey, I'm going to go climb that mountain. I'm going to go take on that challenge. I'm going to run that marathon. It's always, I'm going to do that after this. We put up these barriers. And I know we're going to go on here in the movie, but I want to talk about this whole after that conversation you have, because it fits in perfectly about the 61. So instead of connecting, there's a moment there where you think they're gonna, and then they fall off, and then Miles tries to rally up. He goes into her bathroom, and you think he's going to have another moment where he pops a few Xanax, he drinks the bottle of wine, becomes a mess, and loses it. But he tries to rally himself up. He looks at himself in the mirror, and he tries to muster some self-respect, calls himself a loser, and he's like pumping himself up, throwing some water on his face. And he's feeling this self-loathing where he could go the other way and just pop the Xanax and the night would be over. But instead, he tries to fight through the pain. And he goes back to Maya and he grabs her in this uncomfortable, weird way and tries to kiss her. And she kind of pulls away. And it's heartbreaking because he went out there. He took his walls down, like they say in The Bachelor, and he tried to connect and it fails. And I need to ask you this. At the moment of the 61 conversation, he's talking about himself metaphorically, about the wine. She does about her experience and she gives him the chance. It felt to me like at that moment they had connected. Do you think if he had acted slightly different at the conclusion of the 61, the Cheval Blanc conversation, could he have actually closed the deal?
Like, you mean get laid?
Yes, at least made out, maybe to the next level.
No, I don't think so. And I think that's the problem. You alluded to it before. Jack has corrupted Miles into thinking that the night's events are binary, right? You either score or you don't, right? You're gonna get a touchdown, or you lose the game. And that sounded like I had no idea how football works. Guys, I played football for like 8 years, all through junior high and high school. But anyway, Maya connected with him, right? The moment could have been very romantic. That could have happened, right? They could have had this incredible night where they had that talk, and you'd always think back to that night. You have a relationship that builds out of that, and you think back to that one night when you had that talk on the porch and how beautiful it was and how, the stars shone and the wine was so good and all that stuff. But instead, Miles is feeling the pressure to fuck. Like he's got to seal the deal or whatever. And that's why he's looking in the mirror, he's mad at himself that he kisses her. And how cool would it have been if they just like held hands and talked all night, and she would have been fucking head over heels for him. And thankfully, she still gave him a chance, but, he shot himself in the foot for sure.
He should have just asked her to lay down.
Should have asked her to lay down.
Right? They would have
just
laid
move those kids' toys over.
Yeah.
Just lay down.
Yeah. Gene Lyons, life coach.
Okay. Oh, you look like you need a massage. Massage is also really
no.
Massage is great.
No. And I got to jump in one last thing. If you were into guys, Gene, whatever sex you're going to be, right? Is there anyone you would like to kiss less than Paul Giamatti? That kiss. That kiss, Gene?
Donald J. Trump.
That was like a wet, sweaty, it was.
Yeah. But you know what? Not to get too hung up on this point, though, but they do sell him as why a person would be attracted to him, right? His fucking fashion sense is god awful.
Right.
And he's very neurotic and all that stuff. But for a person like Maya, I get it. I get it. He's passionate about the same thing in a way that other people aren't. And he's not one of the guys that you see at the restaurant as she's working at the restaurant. She puts on a ring so people don't hit on her. He's come in there and not hit on her and just treat her like a human being for so long. I think it makes sense. It's not a Billy Madison moment.
Right. He's genuine. And that's why it's so painful in the end when he turns out to lie, because that was her complaint about her husband.
Well, after hearing from his literary agent that his manuscript has been rejected, an upset Miles creates a scene at a winery. Jack drives him back to the motel where an angry Stephanie breaks Jack's nose and berates him for his dishonesty. After a trip to the emergency room, Jack goes home with a waitress named Cammie and returns to the motel naked after Cammie's husband caught the two having sex. Miles sneaks into Cammie's house, grabs Jack's wallet and runs, barely escaping Cammie's naked husband. It's a big deal. Not that Sideways needed to prove its indie film bona fides. It already got there by being a movie about two friends, one of whom is a writer, who are discovering themselves while tasting wine. That's about as indie film as it gets. But it gets indier the deeper we go. I did not have Paul Giamatti getting chased down the street by a naked cuck after Lowell from Wings butt fucked the dude's wife on my Sideways bingo card. Did not see that coming. And it reminded me so much of the Pulp Fiction Gimp scene where you're just like, where the fuck is it? Whoa, what? Takes the whole audience somewhere they never expected to go. Like when this movie started, I did not have cucking, butt fucking naked guy chasing Paul Giamatti down the street.
No. But it starts off even before that because he gets his face beaten in by the motorcycle helmet by Stephanie, who's pissed off. So now he can't pull what he thinks is acceptable for him. So they go out to this restaurant and he pulls. It's like a chain restaurant. And you have Miles look at him like, "Are you serious?" And he goes, "Well, these are the ones that try hard." He's like, "So I'm going to give it a chance." And she's fawning over him because she remembers his role. It is so fit, but it is the type of disaster that would befall this clown. I don't know that he would have made it home all the way naked, or the covert mission that Miles runs into that King B-esque apartment. That's what I imagine the King B's place looks like.
Pretty much. To
rescue that wallet. But in the end, is there anything more Miles and Jack than being chased down the street by one of the Con Air prisoners naked? And he's screaming about, "You fucked my wife in the ass." There's nothing more. It's a bow tie on this trip. Oh, maybe crashing your car.
Yeah,
that's more of a bow tie. But yeah, this is perfect.
Well, Chris mentioned that this movie takes place in Santa Barbara County, which is not Napa, which is not Sonoma. And I'm so glad that they went with Santa Barbara County because it allowed the movie to capture some of that small town wine country feel that most of Napa has lost. Sonoma County still has some of it. Anderson Valley, at least last time I went, you still had that old school wine country feeling to it. To me, a winery should be like Prager Port Works, which is in Napa Valley. It's a big barn full of barrels. It's a tasting room. It's got that smell. The parking lot is just a dirt lot. The vines are right there. You can see them, right? I want there to be guesswork as to where the front door is, right? I want there to be incredibly eccentric people behind the scenes that are making this wine and to talk with them and to see that there's still cobwebs like up in the corner. It's like Miles and Maya talk about, like what you said, Big D. What was the year like? How much did it rain? Who made this wine? There is a new distillery in Kentucky called Whiskey House. And their big thing is that they've got like hundreds of thousands of square feet. They use thousands of sensors, and you have a customer dashboard where you can look at like the process of your whiskey. And they use food grade sealants, so there's no evaporation or leakage. And they use dozens of different mash bills. And like, I just don't like that. I don't want that. I want us to stop optimizing fucking everything. I want inconsistency. Right? I don't want, this isn't Oreo cookies. This isn't sausage and muffin. I want everything to be different.
Gene, have you looked at the Whiskey House of Kentucky?
Yeah.
It looks like the lair a supervillain would lived in. It is like a nondescript. It is, I don't know what type of architecture you would call this. It's just very, very cold,
industrial,
very villainous, industrial. Yeah. And it's in the middle of absolutely nowhere.
Right. And they say that, you can choose from dozens of mash bills and always be changing things up. Maker's Mark, okay, they've released one new mash bill since 1953. Okay, let's do the math there. That's 72 years. They finally were like, okay, one new mash bill. And even that, they wouldn't call it just Maker's Mark. They gave it a different name, okay? Because it's what God intended, man. I want to taste that year. I want to see what's different. I was so impressed when I went to the Buffalo Trace Distillery, right? I went there with a friend of the pod, Wads, from Chop Top Challenge. He took me there, and we went into the Blanton's like storage area, and they're literally, the barrels are on rails, and they have to roll them by hand, and they got to move them around in the building because it's less insulated on the interior than the exterior, the upstairs to the downstairs. They know they got to move these barrels around to maintain some degree of consistency. But even so, you're still going to get a different taste in each barrel. And I think that's fantastic.
Agreed.
It's what God intended. On the drive back to San Diego, Jack intentionally crashes Miles' car into a tree to support his alibi that he broke his nose in a car accident. Following the wedding ceremony, Miles runs into a pregnant Victoria and meets her new husband, Ken. Miles absconds to drink his prized wine, a 1961 Chateau Cheval Blanc, from a disposable styrofoam soda cup at a fast food restaurant. Weeks later, Miles receives a voicemail from Maya inviting him to visit. He drives back to wine country and knocks on her door.
There's no better ending, Gene.
Yeah.
Than what we get here. We get the wedding first, and Miles walks into the wedding and he sees his ex, and you see the way it's affecting him. She looks great. She's pregnant. She's happy. She's glowing. And she's still looking at him with the eyes of a questioning ex-wife. Like, obviously, he was a bit of a drunk. They didn't have a great marriage. But you're thinking, okay, has Miles learned enough to handle this encounter and not melt down and embarrass himself. And he stays strong for about 5 or 6 seconds. And then the old feelings start to spill out. And he's needy, he's awkward, he's embarrassing. He tries to put on a proud face for Ken and how happy he is, but the pain, it's coming out. And this is the honest ending of the movie. And I love Sideways because it doesn't give us a happy bow tie. It doesn't give us what we think we want. There's no kiss. There's no reunion. There's no reconciliation. There's no freeze frame of a car pulling away with cans dragging behind it. Instead, we get Miles. He's healed a little bit. Maya heals a little bit. They both find each other the way back. There's voicemails and letters. And it ends in a way that we don't need to know what happens. The knock on the door, it is a perfect ending to this film.
I appreciated that there were no consequences for Jack other than getting his nose broken, right? He still gets married. Nobody's the wiser, right? They still have the ceremony. The church is still there. All the people are still there. He gets exactly what he wants despite everything that he did. And again, like you said, for Miles, we don't know how it goes. But I wanted to get your opinion about the Victoria Miles conversation about when she tells him that she's pregnant. Because the way it plays out is Miles says that he'll see her at the reception, and she points out that she won't be drinking because she's pregnant. And I thought that was a perfectly normal conversation. Sarah's sitting next to me and she says, cunt. And I was surprised. I was like, what? And I thought Victoria was just sharing, like, that's why I won't be drinking is because I'm pregnant. But Sarah's like, no. That's intentional. And who am I to argue it? You know, women know women. She's like, no, that was to put a fucking knife in his back.
No, I don't think so. I think she's an adult. She knows eventually, hopefully, that he's going to find out she was pregnant when she has a baby. And then he's going to do the math in his head. She knew she was pregnant back then and didn't tell me. There's a double victimization that you feel like, yes, it's hurtful that she's having a child, which I think he wanted. And then also the knowledge that she withheld that from him. I think there is. But again, I think it's a women thing. They see everything because guys are very, if I'm going to hurt you, I'm going to say something mean to you. I'm going to punch you in the face, then we'll be okay. Women are layer upon layer of like sliding a tiny little dagger under the first layer of skin. Women see a lot of subterfuge in comments that guys are just like, huh? I just told you that you look nice in that dress, and somehow now she thinks she looks fat in the other dress. I didn't say that. I took it as an innocent comment to where she was trying to be transparent.
She was just giving him information.
She was being transparent. She was being an adult.
The adult who didn't tell him that she got remarried.
No, but look, she wasn't over the top. You don't have to share that information, but she wasn't like, I'm so happy we're finally having a boy. Ken went off. And she asked, how are you doing? I did not take it as a mean comment.
Ken put his seed in me.
Did you? Did you think she was a cunt?
I didn't until Sarah pointed it out. Then I was like, oh, fuck, I guess, yeah.
No. I think Sarah's just saying.
I wouldn't use that kind of word.
No, you wouldn't either. No. As we close up here, we have to talk about, because Chris is in the industry, and for whatever people think about this movie, I mean, it was acclaimed, but I wanted to go back and look now. How did the industry look at this? Because the wine industry always takes itself seriously. I think it plays into whether it's the value of old vintages. But watching the movie now, it made me think, what was the real world reaction to it? Because the movie mocks the pretentious nature of the wine culture, but at the same time, it celebrates the passion behind it. So in doing some research, in reality, the size and the exposure that the movie provided was a giant boost to Pinot Noir. And it also tanked Merlot for years. I texted you before we even watched it, fuck Merlot, we're not drinking Merlot. That actually had an effect on the industry. Audience took it, yes, as a joke, but they also took it seriously. And there was a decline in it. And I think the movie became a conversation about wine to where it brought it out into the popular culture. And I think people who were more like Jack were open to wine. Hey, it's not this mysterious area. Like a lot of times now when guys talk about their whiskeys and their limited edition, I'm like, oh, really? It makes me feel like I can't get into the barrier of entry is too much for me. Don't make, it's like golf. I got to go buy a set of clubs. I got to go get a tee time. I can't just go out and take swings. That's what it felt like. And for this, I think this may have been the gateway to wine for a larger percentage of the population that never had thought of it before.
This is the Top Gun of wine. I think it really is. It made it seem approachable. It made it seem interesting. They gave you enough so that you kind of knew what was going on, but they didn't go too deep into it. And Chris liked it. So I'm guessing it's pretty loved in the industry. And imagine the dice roll here, right? You're like, yeah, we're making a movie. It's about two buddies going on a wine tasting trip, right? To make a quality movie out of that, to make it interesting, to make it not bomb, like this like that's playing with fire, man. And the fact that they landed that plane is incredible. Now's the time of the podcast we give our Shat Score for Sideways. The Shat Score is our way of telling you how many wipes the movie takes to get off your respective butts. 0 wipes is a perfect movie. It's getting your bones smooched. And 5 wipes is an absolute disaster of a film. It's running 5 clicks naked through an ostrich farm. Big D, we'll start with you. What is your Shat Score for Sideways?
I'm not going to bury the lead on the scene. I think it's a 0.75. I was leaning towards maybe 0.5. Sideways, it's a rare adult film that seems to trust the audience. It doesn't hand feed us emotions, or it doesn't hand feed us the plot. The characters have real flaws and they explore them. There's real fears. There's messy emotional lives that grown-up people live with without trying to make everything Hollywood clean. The humor is sharp. The writing is great. The characters feel lived in. The story respects the idea of growth can be slow and uneven. And even the ending allows for interpretation. What happens? What's the next step? There is no perfect resolution. For these reasons, I think it's really surprising. I really like this a lot. I for the first time, I can agree with the critics, and I got to give it the low score. I think it's a 0.75 wipe film.
I'm glad you mentioned the critics, Big D, because when I looked up this movie as far as like Rotten Tomato scores, et cetera, it seemed like the critics liked this movie a lot more than audiences did. And it's a rare one for me too, where I agree with the critics much more than the audience. I think this is an outstanding film that a lot of people, like normal people, have not seen. I hadn't seen it prior to Chris commissioning it. And Chris, before I give my wipe score, this is a rare occasion where we're reviewing a film, and then the day after reviewing the film, I'm going to be hanging out with the commissioner. So Chris is in town for a rugby tournament in Gilbert, Arizona, and then I'm going to go get beers with him and rugby guys. I'm excited about that.
Ooh.
So much beef, much meat. It's going to be chicks looking at him, dudes too.
Dudes too. Yeah, you're going to get lots of people looking at you.
But this recording won't come out until well after that hangout, so I can tell him I gave it whatever score I want. But Chris, I'm excited to talk with you face to face about this film tomorrow. I'm coming in around the same as you, Big D. You gave it 3/4 wipes. I'm going a little bit higher than that at 1 wipe for one reason alone. Although he was nominated for an Academy Award for this film, I do not like Thomas Haden Church's acting. It's really bad. And I'm not saying like he's an unlikable character, right? I'm not saying that like, oh, I don't like Jack. What I'm saying is he is a bad actor. In every scene, I felt like he was just saying words. The scene where he comes back naked and he's crying and he's asking Miles for help, I literally thought that they were playing a prank on Miles because he's an actor in the movie. I thought he was playing bad actor and faking crying. And then I realized, no, that was supposed to be real. And if that's the case, man, you fucking suck as an actor. He sucked in Wings. He fucking sucks. The man cannot act. It was distracting me the entire movie. Paul Giamatti was great. Everybody else was fantastic. I got to go 1 wipe.
Can I offer a recasting maybe if you didn't like him? How about Sam Rockwell?
Yes, 100%. Well, he's not hunky enough to be hunkier.
I think Sam Rockwell now has that swagger.
How about Gary Oldman, but on his knees the whole time?
Or how about Steve Zahn? You know, the other half of
No, too dopey.
Too dopey?
Too dopey. No. You need somebody hunky?
Ooh, hunky. What about Mark Harmon?
Dopey. Ooh, Mark Harmon I could get behind. Steve Guttenberg.
Oh, yeah, Steve, I would believe he could pull the ladies.
Yeah. Also, Paul Giamatti, not as bad without his shirt as I thought.
Oh, but this is Apex Giamatti.
No, but I'm saying like with his clothes on, he looked worse than without them on.
And to that point, I was so disappointed with THC's ass in that scene. Oh, and Gene, this is an awkward moment. I'm watching this at my desk, right?
Oh,
so my desk is in the first bedroom as you enter my house. Large glass doors. I'm watching this. Vanessa's entire family is here from Brazil. Mother, father, both sisters, and brother.
Yes.
They all come through the living room to walk out the front door exactly as the moment Miles walks in on Jack having sex with Stephanie. So they look in through the doors. It looks like I'm watching porn. And it's THC's ass, his flabby ass just pounding away. They looked at me and Vanessa goes, "It's a movie. It's for the podcast. It's a movie," because her parents looked perplexed.
Yeah. Well, you did refer to this as an adult film, so maybe that's why.
Yeah. Well, with a .875 wipe score, Gene, I think that is highly respectable. Some people might say, it's a bit too high, but I don't know. I feel strongly about this one. It puts it in again, it's up there. This is going to be now in the 58 spot. It falls directly in between Last of the Mohegans and Rushmore.
Okay. I can see that.
I don't think anybody could have a problem, right, with this. And
I like this better than Last of the Mohegans. I don't know that I liked it better than Rushmore. You know what? It caused me to do a lot more introspection and have deeper thoughts than Rushmore did. Not as entertaining per se, but like just all the. Listen, this is one of the longest pods we've done in a while,
right?
And I think it's because we had a lot to say about the movie, and if it engenders that much conversation, I think that says something.
Agreed.
All right. Speaking of which, Big D, what do we have coming up next week?
Gene, next week, I've been waiting for this. This is a film that is legendary, and I've never seen it. During the presidential election of 1988, a teenager named Donnie Darko sleepwalks out of the house one night and sees a giant demonic-looking rabbit named Frank, who tells him the world will end in 28 days. When Donnie returns home, he finds that a jet engine has crashed into his bedroom. Holy shit, how did I not know any of this? Is Donnie living in a parallel universe? Is he suffering from mental illness? Or will the world really end? This was commissioned by Fernando. Fernando, thank you. How did a presidential election, the world ending, a giant, what have I been missing, Gene?
Sparkle Motion's what you've been missing.
I don't even know what that means.
You will.
Oh, I'm excited.
This will be a great one for me too, Big D, because it's been easily 20 years since I've seen this movie. So a lot of it's fuzzy. I remember like bits and pieces and the general vibe of it. But it is weird. It is wonderful. It's Patrick Swayze. We haven't had him on for a while. Yeah. Jake Gyllenhaal, Patrick Swayze. Oh yeah.
Is Patrick Swayze the rabbit?
No.
Okay. Is Seth Rogen in it?
I don't know about
Yes,
Seth
it says
Rogen.
Drew Barrymore, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Seth Rogen, Jenna Malone, Patrick Swayze, Noah Wilde. Oh my.
Noah Wiley?
Noah Wiley, yes.
Oh, it's The Pit.
Man, I can't wait. What could Patrick Swayze be playing in this?
He plays like a host, like a
game show,
like Tom Cruise in Magnolia, sort of character.
Oh, like a motivational speaker, like a Tim Robbins.
Yeah, he's a motivational speaker. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait. This is gonna be a good one.
28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, and 12 seconds. It's good. It's real good. Or it's going to be terrible. And I just thought it was good. But
no, I think it has to be good.
It's going to be good. All right. Well, thank you, Fernando, for commissioning the upcoming film. Thank you, Chris, for commissioning Sideways and Invictus and being such a great supporter of the pod. Thank you to all the commissioners who make this podcast possible. That concludes this week's episode of Shout the Movies. Be sure to follow us on social media, share with a friend. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram at Shout the Movies. You can email us, host@shoutpod.com. Support the podcast by shopping our Amazon affiliate link, buying our merch, or by commissioning your own movie. Find all information by visiting our website, shoutpod.com. Also, check out our sister podcast, Shout on TV. We review TV series such as Lovecraft Country, Westworld, True Detective, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, and Watchmen. Find all the information on our website, shoutpod.com/TV, wherever we find podcasts can be found, including Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe, and if you stop by Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star review. It helps the podcast grow. On behalf of my co-host, Big D, I'm Gene Lyons. Join us next time for the following movie.
It was as though this plan had been with him all his life, pondered through the seasons. Now, in his 15th year, crystallized with the pain of puberty.
So, why'd you move here?
My mom had to get a restraining order against my stepdad. He has emotional problems.
Oh, I have those too. What kind of emotional problems does your dad have? I met a new friend.
Real or imaginary?
Wake up, Donnie.
Imaginary.
I'm going to tell you a little story today about a young man whose life was completely destroyed by these instruments of fear.
I've been seeing stuff.
Donnie is experiencing what is commonly called a daylight hallucination.
I have to obey him. He saved my life.
Have you ever seen a portal?
Has he ever told you about his friend Frank, the giant bunny rabbit?
The what?
Every living thing follows along a set path. And if you could see your path or channel, then you could see into the future, right?
I'm not going to be able to continue this conversation. Don't worry. You got away with it.
What is going to happen?
I only have a few days left before they catch me. When's this gonna stop?
You should already know that.